And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Royals. This is from Arcane Wonders, and it's part of the Dice Tower Essential line. Now, what the Dice Tower Essential line is they are games that I think are amazing games and deserve to be reprinted or printed for the first time. In this case, I found Royals from Peter Hall's. It was done only over in Europe, and I love the game. So I worked with Arcane Wonders, and they got it printed. So yes, you might say, Vasel, there's a conflict of interest. Well, there is to some degree, but the fact is I thought the game was amazing. I didn't design it. I found it, and I got it published, and so here is that finished product. And so I think the game's amazing. You already know that ahead of time. I just want to use this video to tell you why. The goal of Royals is to get the most victory points, and pretty much everything in the game, which is a tile, is worth a certain number of victory points. There's squares down here, there's tiles all over the place. Each player is going to have some markers in their color, and players are going to have actions on their turn. The first action, you must take some cards. Now, the first turn, the players will take less cards, but normally on a player's turn, they will take 3 cards. They can take them from the face-up cards or the face-down one. They can take 3 of these influence cards. These cards are going to match the 4 colors on the board: the red English, blue France, green German, or yellow Spain. Or they can take 1 card and 1 intrigue card. And each intrigue card shows 2 different countries. So this one here happens to show Germany and France on it and can be used as an intrigue card of either color. Now, after players draw cards, they may play cards. So you must draw cards, and you may play cards. Now, when you play cards, you're going to be playing your cubes in the different areas on the board. When you play a cube into an area, there's a number next to each noble that you'll drop it on, showing how many cards you need of that color. So, for example, this one here needs 1 blue. This one needs 4 blue. This one needs 2 blue, because we're in the blue section. If I have a blue card, I could discard it, place a cube of my color on that gentleman here. If I'm the first person in a city, I will take this tile here, which is worth victory points at the end of the game. So if someone else came in later on and went here, they're not going to get the points for that city I already have. If I come here, I would need 2 blue cards, and I would get these 2 points. You can use any 3 cards, so maybe 2 reds and a yellow if I wanted to, as a card of 1 color, so I could use those as a blue when you're filling it up, but you do have a hand limit of 12 of these influence cards you can hold from turn to turn. So players can be doing that. Now, as players are placing those cubes out, you will also be placing a cube on the matching person. So if I place one, for example, you saw that one I placed at the beginning was a marshal, so I would drop one here on the marshal too. If a player puts one on the countess, they will put one on the countess portrait here. And at the end of the game, these are going to be given to whoever has the most cubes on each one. So if I have the most cubes on the Duke, for example, I'll take this, which is worth 10 points. If there's a tie for whoever has the most cubes on a Duke, we turn it over and we just break them in half and give half to each player who was part of the tie, and they will get 5 points each. Now, if you want to take a spot that somebody else is in, you can do so. You have to pay the cards for that person, plus an intrigue card that matches that person's color. So maybe I'll take this spot. When I do, the orange player goes here. Now, the reason the orange player is not removed from the board is because the first person to control someone in each city of one of the countries will take this shield to show the control of that country. The second person will take this second shield. And players want to have control of these people for end of round scoring. As you place cubes out, you will also be placing cubes on each of these portrait tiles next to the board. If you're the first person to get a cube on every single one of those, you will get this 16-point tile. The second person to do 12, the third person 8 points as you place those out. Now, as players are drawing cards from the influence deck, eventually it will run out, which is the end of the first round. And these point tiles are going to be given out for the end of the year 1648. And to do that, players will measure their influence in each country. So let's say we're looking up here at the German states, and let's say purple has the cardinal here, and they have him, and white has these three characters, and black has here. So black, we're going to look at the second number after each of these different nobles. So that's how much influence they have. So in Munich, purple has 4 of those power points. White has 3 power points, fourth, and black has 4. So black has the king 4, white has 4, and purple has 4. It's a tie. So when it's a tie, we go to the single highest person, which in this case is the king. So black would break that tie. Had white or purple had gotten one more out there, then they would have won that. So the highest person is going to take a tile equal to the first in that one. So they would get 6 points here in Germany. Second would get 5. You'll notice the difference between first and second in Germany isn't so great, but in France the difference is much greater, 10 and 4. So there will be 3 scorings over the course of the game, each time when the influence deck runs out. After the influence deck has run out 3 times, you will look at all these tiles that you have taken from all over the board. You will split the portrait tiles over here, and whoever has the most points after you add up all your tiles together is the winner. Now you might wonder why I like a game that's just simply just putting cubes on a board and getting points. I mean, really, that's all it is, getting points. But I like the game because it plays so smoothly and so easily. By the way, kudos to Arcane Wonders. The artwork on the board, the original board was fine and functional, but the new board looks much nicer. The pieces are good and thick. Everything just has a good feel to it. And this game just has it fits in that same category for me as games like Ticket to Ride, where you are drawing cards and then playing those cards. You want to save up cards and get the big people, the kings, which will get you more points and also score points at the end of a round. But at the same time, maybe you want to play things as quickly as you can to get some of those early points and control the smaller nobles, like the count. And so there's a area control method where you're controlling the different nobles on the side. There's a speed method. There's area controls for the different kingdoms. There's trying to have one on every different noble. There's a lot of different things that you're thinking about. And the game has a very discernible shift, too. As you're playing the game, the first part of the game, you're just putting out people as fast as you can. Then eventually you're like, oh, I need those intrigue cards. So you don't need the intrigue cards at the beginning. Why would you fight someone else when you can just take easy to take areas? But after a while, you want to start moving in and taking other people, especially before a round ends. And so it's back and forth, and it's not necessarily a mean game. You're replacing people in different areas and moving them out, but that just is basically for you to take control, and they can come back and take control again from you if they so desire. But I think that the game, it's one of those games I like because it's sitting there and going, hey, draw some cards, play some cards. Where you play the cards is where the game, I think, shines the best and how it plays so smoothly. The game is for 3 to 5 players. There's an optional variant in the book where, 2 to 5 players. There's an optional variant in the book where you can have 4 cards out instead of 3. I might do that. I think 3 is actually a pretty decent number because there isn't that many different colored cards in the game. But I've played it at all the player counts, and I think... See, the thing I think I like about Royals is I don't know which one of those is best because a 5-player game isn't bad. There's a lot more fighting back and forth. A 2-player game is more strategic as you go, and there's a lot less conflict in it, but I don't think that means it's a bad thing. Usually with a game, I think there's a sweet spot. I think this one kind of covers the gamut of players very well. Euro games sometimes get a knock because they don't have a strong theme in them. Well, Royals does not necessarily have a strong theme, although pretty much everyone you play with will likely start singing the song. It's just putting things out on the board and controlling different areas. But because of the ease of play, because of how fast it is, the great art and components also help add to it. It feels like every game is a little bit different. This is one I'll be playing for a long time to come. I really enjoy it, and I hope you'll enjoy it too. That's Royals. Dice Tower Judgment, into my collection!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!